becomes you. Fate cannot be changed.
Welcome. This is Top Tier Tips. Greetings everyone. This is F.O.N with your Top Tier Tips, and I'm bringing you another Tekken 7 guide. This one's going to be looking at the first character revealed for Season 3, Zafina. The Spider Queen is a pretty tricky character. I mean, like, she can lie on the ground and crawl like a spider. I mean, like, his character's pretty nuts. So yeah, if you're looking for a straightforward or simple type of character, Zafina is not it. Anyways, her gameplay is based around 3 primary stances. Alright, her first stance that you're probably going to be using the most is her Scarecrow stance, which is entered into by just pressing 3+4. You can also enter it out of strings too, like 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3. So I mean, you can. So yeah, there are numerous ways to be able to enter into this stance. I'll go over it's kind of like entering the stance like a little bit, but yeah, when you're in this stance, right, you can move around, so hop around, so forward, back. You can even sidestep in it. So yes, you do still retain a small, minuscule amount of mobility while also in this stance. So yeah, I mean, this stance is pretty much reminiscent of like a flamingo stance. Think of like a taekwondo user like Walrang. This is basically like a flamingo stance. So you got like your jab, like a high option, got like a mid option, you got like a low option. Anyways, I'm going to show you a little Fisher Price mix-up out of Scarecrow's stance. Alright, the first one I'm going to show you is the low option, which is down forward +4. And you can just follow up with a back 3, which is Zafina's Power Crush, so just back 3. Alright, for the mid option, you could use 1+2 and get a small combo off of it. Alright, I'll just in the description, any like combos I use, I'll just write them down in this description down below. So yeah, right there, what you can end up doing first if you do enter into this stance safely, like if you enter into this stance on hit, if you enter into this stance on hit, so something like 1, 2, 3, you'll be positive. If this gets blocked, you'll be at around -1. But if it hits, you'll be like something like +8. You'll be at quite a bit of advantage, so you'll be in control. But on block, yes, the opponent's probably gonna try and jab you right away. So yeah, with regards to this stance right here, so what you're gonna be basically kind of, if you want to just poke away to your opponent, you can end up using the low option if you think the opponent's gonna end up pushing a button, along with the 1+2 or the down forward +4. You can also use the 2 option right there. So there's 2 parts. There's 2 parts to it. So there's 2, 2. You can just do 1, then do 1+2. You can get like a little like damage. I know there's probably stuff you can do better out of it. You kind of like get the idea though. I mean, just doing a single one gets you the counter hit. You stay in. You remain in Scarecrow. If you do 2, you'll exit it. And if you do the 1+2, you'll also exit out of Scarecrow. Alright, I'll let you know for any of the stances, including Scarecrow, if you want to exit out of the stance, press down back. So just press down back and you'll exit it. Alright, I'll take a look at the other stances in a little later in a little bit. I just want to take a look at Zafina's neutral game right now. Alright, I'll say that like Zafina's neutral game is not particularly straightforward, although it's not like too awkward. Like you can, despite having multiple stances, you can play her in a fairly straightforward kind of way if you'd like. Her just generic movement, her standard movement is pretty good, like her back dash, forward dash, kind of like stuff like that. Her movement is pretty good, and that is complemented by having a good down forward +2 standard normal hit uppercut launcher. Like it's got like pretty decent range, and you can like just get follow-ups off of it and like get an okayish combo. I'll just let you know right now that Zafina's damage output in general is not really the greatest, especially compared to like someone like Katarina, who can just completely rape your health bar. But yeah, but with Zafina, you kind of have to work for your damage a bit with her, but it kind of comes to the territory because she has like pretty good evasion and like mix-ups and stuff like that. So I mean, essentially with Zafina, yeah, you gotta mix up your opponent quite a bit. But now just going on with like her neutral game, I mean, like Like, playing around neutral is kind of fine with her. Like, some nice moves that you can do out there is her back 2 is a pretty good move. See, as you see, it ends up... As you see, it ends up, it ends up tail spinning or screwing, whatever you want to call it, on counter hit. Same with, like, forward 2. Both these moves are homing, I think, also. So, yeah, so you do get a few, like, tracking moves with her. As you see, this move also... Forward 2 also, also launches on counter hit. Alright, for like any sort of like combos off of this stuff, I'll show this stuff a little later, but I just want to just look at some like neutral tools. Alright, if you want a nice go-to high crush and poke, you have your down back +2. Alright, you see this move right here, it ends up knocking down on counter hit. And I think you can sneak in a free down +2, so or down 2, whatever you want to call it, right there on the downed opponent. So this move is pretty nice. Like, I don't think it's particularly like unsafe on block, but I mean it looks like it. Well, number one, it looks like a low, but it's actually a mid. So, and crushing moves is part of Zafina's forte. So yeah, she's kind of good at crushing opponents. She's a very slippery kind of character. So yeah, that's a good poke. All right, if you want to kind of like a go-to. I don't know if I necessarily want to call it necessarily a low poke, but just something to kind of like trip up the opponent. Zafina's down 3 is good. See, it kind of trips up the opponent a little bit on normal hit, but if you connect it on counter hit, then if you end up like connecting it on counter hit, then it knocks on the opponent. You can get a free you can end up getting like a free while rising 4 off that. And if I'm not mistaken, it can also go, if you hold down, it can go into her Mantis stance. So if you end up like just holding down, then you get the Mantis stance. I'll go over the stances in just I'll go in the other 2 stances just a little bit. Yes, this is her Mantis stance. Same thing as I said before, you can exit it by doing down back, well, just down back. There we go, and you end up exiting out of it. So yeah, sometimes you have some moves you can enter into the Mantis stance by holding down. If you don't want to, just don't press down. Take note that down 3 is actually pretty unsafe on block. It's like -15, but this is still a pretty good low in its own respect. But don't worry, I'll give you an alternative, a nice mid option right here that your opponent's probably going to be what they should be looking for when they're fighting Zafina. It's her forward 3. This move right here is a pretty nice move. This is probably it's one of Zafina's most advantageous moves on block. Like, it's like +4 or +5 on block, and it can put you in, and it automatically goes into Scarecrow stance. Right, so that is really nice. So basically, majority of your buttons will probably beat out most retaliations that the opponent's gonna try and do. I mean, even if they're trying to just like jab you. But just to let you know, you do have like a couple lows you can do. I mean, like there's like the down 3, and of course I already showed you that you have down forward plus. I mean, I just showed you the down forward +4. See right here. So if the opponent, when you're at advantage, the opponent wants to jab. This is where the kind of Fisher Price mix-up I showed you earlier probably would be most effective. Is if you enter into it off of forward 3. All right, if you don't want to go into the stance transition, and this applies for like any move that ends up going into like Scarecrow, for instance, then simply hold back. So if you do, like for instance, if you do forward 3 and back, you see, after that you don't go into the stance, and then you can try and pressure with stuff like your jab strings, like stuff like you have, well, again, you could do like 1-3, which can go back into the stance. 1-2-3 can go into it, or just simply doing like a jab. Like, jabs are always +1 on an opponent's guard, and Zafina's is still 10 frames, so that is nice. Of course, her down forward +1, or just, yeah, this is what I just call the elbow in Tekken. Down forward +1, 13 frames. Zafina's is nice. Like, it's got an interesting hitbox. It can hit kind of low. As you see, it looks kind of vertical. And Zafina's down forward +1 string has multiple follow-ups. So you could do up to down forward 1, 2, 1. So you can keep the opponent off balance with the down forward string by doing different things like you have down forward 1, down forward 1 2, or down forward 1 2 1 2 1. The trade-off for that is Zafina's down forward +1 is not -1 on block like most down forward +1, so you don't really get the kind of down forward the same type of down forward +1 shenanigans that most characters get. The shenanigans you get is it's just good old-fashioned string manipulation. And if you end up counter hitting the opponent with all 3 parts, you actually get quite a bit of damage, like 49 damage if the opponent guessed wrong on when you're gonna finish the string, and you end up just like smacking them away with that. Take note that down forward 1 2 or down forward 1 2 1, the second hit and the third hit are double-digit negative on block. So if you do want a safe option after a down forward 1 is blocked, you do have a high option, down forward 1 4, which is also like a good kind of like tailspin move too, or a screw as some people call it. So this move's only about -6 on block, where the other 2 options are double-digit negative. So if you want a safe option, then you can just use this one when the opponents start ducking it. Then that's when you can start using down forward 1 2, or even all the way up to the third option. So basically, as you can see right now, when you have string manipulation, this is all about conditioning the opponent. So this is your safe option. Like, this is just a -6 high, and if you want that same kick, you can also get it off of a forward 4. So with forward 4, you can also end up just doing you can end up doing a follow-up with down back 4 2, like this move, that move right here. So that's pretty nice. So you get a little follow-up after this though. So see, this right here is just a cute little safe poke, counter hit knockdown, like small follow-up. So you don't get it off of down forward 1 4. You see right here, it keeps the opponent standing up. So I mean, it's basically the down forward +1 string is good for Zafina. If you go into this move and you hold back, you'll cancel out. I'll just let you know right now that something that's really interesting about this is that if you end up whether this move gets blocked in Scarecrow or not in Scarecrow, you'll still be at around the +4 or +5 frame advantage. The thing that makes it interesting is that for almost any other kind of transition into Scarecrow that gives you the ability to like cancel out, let's say something like 1 3. See, this would be the Scarecrow. This would be the Scarecrow, and of course, it's to show you. You probably get the idea, like right out there. If the opponent ends up blocking that, you'll will be at like increased negative frames if you end up like canceling out. Where 4 4 3 is kind of generous, that you get the same like +4 or +5 whether you cancel it or not, which allows you to again to be able to pressure like down 4 +1 with jab, or if you want to like just try and like sneak in a low. Of course, you have your down 3. So I mean like your down 3, or even like down 4. Also down back 4. I mean, like, be careful, lows are a little unsafe, but you kind of get the idea for mix-up purposes. So for most transitions that ends up going into Scarecrow, I mean, it's simple, like 1 3 or like 1 2 3, which have the ability to cancel out. You will be at increased negative frames if it gets blocked. You won't be unsafe. Like, it's still single-digit negative, but instead of being like -1 or -4, you'll end up being, well, instead like -8 or like -9, like not quite jab punishable, but like increased negative. So like be careful about that. Although if the opponents like kind of know that like Zafina's 4 4 3 basically is the good transition, then they're gonna probably try and just jab you right away as you go into the stance. So that, like I said, that'll be a challenge that you end up having with Zafina, is trying to enter into her Scarecrow stance at advantage, because if you enter it at disadvantage, I have to say, you can't exactly block. In order to block, you press 1 to exit it, and it takes frames to exit out of this. So I mean, like, essentially you're vulnerable when you're in this stance at negative. When you're at positive, yes, you can mix, you get your opportunity to try and mix up your opponent. Along with forward, forward 3, I'll give you another advantageous move that transitions into Scarecrow. Along with forward, forward 3, you also have Zafina's while standing 3. As you see right there, it's a screw or tailspin on counter hit, but on block it leaves you like around like +7 or +8. So that is basically arguably Zafina's most advantageous move. So from while standing, you have while standing 3, and from neutral, you have forward, forward 3. So those would generally be your go-to Scarecrow transition moves, because every other move, even like a simple 3, requires you to actually connect the move on either normal hit or counter hit in order to be at an advantage, so you can mix up the opponent. Because of course, if it ends up getting blocked and you're not at advantage, and the opponent can just punch you. So yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things I find it can make this Zafina tricky, is just stance management, because you can't block in the stances. Anyways, now I'll just continue looking on that neutral game. So some other moves that you can end up doing from neutral. I already showed you like down back 2, the back 2, the 4-4-2, right there. Some good. A nice move you can actually add on to this is her Zafina's 4-4-4. This is yet another home-in move, or track-in move as they're known as. So this move right here does have low crush properties. Despite looking like it's hitting high, it's a mid. As you see right there, its range is great. It's a good move, knocks the opponent back. Obviously, you can't really get a follow-up because it's a knockback move, but it's good for kind of like knocking someone into a corner. So this right here, along with forward 2, or back 2 an extent, even though I don't know if back 2 really tracks that well, but I know forward 2 and forward 4 both track well. Both these moves are, well, forward 2 is advantage on block. Forward 4 is not advantage on block, but it is safe. So basically, from a certain range, if you feel like it, you can kind of chuck it out. Like, I think it's just single-digit negative. So I mean, obviously it's not an advantage like forward 3, but this is still arguably like Zafina's best home-in move. I mean, it's obviously her go-to home-in mid. I mean, other kind of like track-in mids. Let's see, not like you could use down forward 1+2, but you see this move is slow as hell. Like, it does allow like for a potential juggle out on counter hit, but this move is kind of slow. But just 4-4-4 is great. Like 4-4-2 is good also, even though it's a high. But this move, I mean, being +1 on block is kind of nice. I mean, anytime you can kind of get like frame advantage with Zafina, like try and take it. But yeah, 4-4-2, 4-4-4, nice moves. Zafina possesses classic 3D fighter style hit throw. It is off of her back 1. Alright, so essentially what a hit throw is, it's also known as like an on hit just frame. So that means that right as the move connects, you have to press the 1+2. If you don't get the right timing, then it won't work. And I'll let you know the timing is pretty tight, but like essentially it will feel like you'll have to press the 1+2 like right before the move hits. Especially like, I know there's like very slight kind of like input lag in this game at times, so it feels like you have to press it like right before it hits. And when you do, you should be able to connect it. But it's just as you'll see a bit later that you can connect it at the end of combos. But yeah, with some practice, you should be able to get down the time, and especially if you have experience with hit throws from other 3D fighters. Alright, let's take a look at Zafina's launchers. Alright, I'll just let you know right now that Zafina does have 3 stances, and there are launchers out of them, but I'm just going to be looking right now at launchers out of, let's just say, neutral, so no stance. Alright, your go-to launcher will be down forward +2, Zafina's uppercut. This is basically considered to be your best launcher. Alright, I will give you a heads up. Zafina doesn't have like a 15 frame launcher or anything like that from neutral, so like this move I think is about either 16 or 17 frames. So yeah, for launch punishment, you're generally going to be starting at around -16 or well, to be on the safe side, -17. But this move is pretty good. See, this will be your go-to. It has enough range to be your go-to with Punisher right here, so you can end up getting like some numerous follow-ups on that, and I will show you like the combos off of the launchers in a little bit. Alright, so yeah, down forward +2 is good. Alright, so let's see, other launchers. You have your low crush launcher, good old hop kick. So this one too. You can end up, like, again, you can set up a tailspin. So this move I think is about 17 frames. Right here, your hop kick. Like, its range is not as good as down forward +2. So down forward +2 will get priority, but if you want to crush it low, that's where the hop kick comes in. Alright, let's see. So let's see some other launchers. Oh yeah. Down back 1 +2. This will be your low launcher. It's not quite as good as a snake edge, but it's still pretty solid though. I mean, it's still going to be your go-to low launcher. As you see, it puts Zafina into her Mantis stance where she can kind of swag a bit. So, I'll show you like a combo in a little bit. All right. So for those, all right. So to go along with those launchers that I showed you right now, you also can use your forward 2. This one, it's a counter hit combo starter, and again, forward 2, 3 ends up going into her stance. But if you're just fishing for a counter hit and just do forward 2, and same thing, you can kind of like set up like a tailspin. So along with like forward 2, for another counter hit launcher, you still have 1 +2. Same thing, you can like set up like tailspin combos. So these ones are okay. I'll let you know that these are a fair bit. They are a little bit negative on blocks, so you have to be like a little careful with them. But anyways, let me just show you some combos off of these launchers. Oh, and of course you could start combos with like forward 2 on counter hit and back 2 on counter hit. I might have said that. Oh, and 1 +2 just have follow-ups in 1 +2 4, which also continue in the combo. But anyways, here we go. Alright, now we're going to look at Zafina's other 2 stances. Her Mantis stance, inputted with down 3 +4, and her Tarantula stance, inputted with down 1 +2. Alright, between these 2 stances, the Tarantula stance is probably the more gimmicky of the 2, and between the 3 stances, the Tarantula stance will probably end up using the least, although it low profile so much that it obviously avoids all highs and can go under some mids. But other than that, though, it's kind of sneaky. Here, I'll just go over the Tarantula stance like right now. Alright, your pretty much go-tos out of this stance will be like the 1 option right there, so it's a little lower. It looks like Zafina's scratching the shit out of the opponent's ankles. And you also have your 3 option right here. You see, ends up knocking down on, even can knock down on normal hit. Then you can just follow up with a down 1 +2, which ends up putting you into now the Mantis stance. Right here. Alright, I already said earlier that you can exit both stances by just doing down back. So that applies right here, and Zafina, damn, that girl's flexible. Let's take a look at Zafina's Mantis stance. Alright, similar to the Scarecrow stance, you can enter it into it manually, just down 3 +4, or you can also enter it into strings. So something like 2, 1, 3, for instance, would go into Mantis stance. Alright, let's go on that. One thing that's neat with Zafina is both her her 1, so her left punch and her right punch are 2. These are both 10 frames, so it's kind of nice though. So if you want to go into Scarecrow, there's like 1, 2, 3. And if you want to go into Mantis, there's 2, 1, 3. Just like that. Alright, the main time you're going to be using that is basically, essentially, anytime you have an opportunity to kind of strike back to the opponent. So you can strike back 1, 2, or like 2, 1. So you kind of get the idea. Other ways to enter into Mantis is you can use forward, 3+4, and hold down, and you'll go into Mantis. That will most commonly be used at the end of certain juggles, like at the end after like a tail spin, you can try and hit 3+4 actor, and you can go into Mantis. So yeah, that's an option. Other ways that you can enter into Mantis, well, some stuff I've showed earlier. Down 3, hold down the 3, and you go into Mantis. Other ways, let's see, down back 1+2 automatically goes into Mantis. So if you end up going into Mantis with down back 1+2 or down, let's say down 3, especially if this was to connect on counter hit or something like that. Holy jeez, the floor is just getting destroyed. After this, so like down out of the Mantis stance, the down 3-1 option will be the most common. So down 1, down 3-1, then down 1-4, and you see right there you get some combo filler out of that. But out of the Mantis, let's see what else you got. You got its own power crush if you do 1+2. Right there you get if you just press the 2 option, you got a counter hit in mid. It works a lot like forward 2. Although this keeps you in Mantis. So again, I messed it up. So the same kind of combo filler ends up working. So you probably know 3-1, then 1-4. So I mean, so generally for most juggles for Mantis, that's generally what you're going to be doing. So you kind of get the idea. So other options out of here. So you have another low with the 4. And if you want your go-to fast option, that'll be the 1. As you see right here, it looks like it's punching the person in the face, or it's looks like it's punching cat in the boob. But as you see right there, it says mid. So this move is actually a mid, just like a down forward 1. So yes, the opponent cannot crouch that. But yeah, so if you want to go to fast move, then your 1 option will be your go-to. But even with all these options, you want to use Zafina's stances to scum people. So the scum option out of Mantis stance is the 3. Naturally, it's a low, and you see right there, it knocks down on counter hit, so the usual kind of potential filler works out of that. Mantis 3 is part of a string. Mantis 3, 4, 4. So 2 lows, then a mid. Just like with let me just get out of this. Alright, just like with down forward 1, 2, 1, this is basically a case of just doing different parts of the string. Even something simple, just doing the 3. You see even there, I mean, to top it up, you counter hit the opponent's nice, so you have the 2 options you kind of mix up with, and of course just the 1 if you want something safe. But so right here you can go 3, 4, and all the way to the end. So if you don't know what to do out of Mantis, other than of course going for the jab, just your goal is to annoy the hell out of the opponent with the different options, and the 3, 4, 4 or different parts of the string will definitely help you out with that. And when you're really in the opponent's head, you could try and nail him with down forward +2 for Mantis stance. We're going to be taking a look at Zafina's Tarantula stance right now. Alright, there are a few ways to enter into it, even though I'm not a huge fan of this stance. The most common way is just simply doing the 1-4 string. Alright, it enters into Tarantula right there. Other moves you can use is up forward 1+2. Goes into Tarantula. And there's also stuff like down to 4. It goes into Mantis if you don't press any transition, but if you were to hold down, then it goes into Tarantula stance instead. Alright, and there's also a kind of unique way to do it. If you run at the opponent from across the room and press 4, and right there you get that run and move like that. If you end up holding down, then it turns around and goes into Tarantula stance. So yeah, you have a run and low that can end up leading into a stance with Zafina. So, but out of these options, 1-4 is going to be your most common. For instance, it's coming off a 10-frame jab. So let's say if you're punishing something and for some reason you don't want to go into Scarecrow, or you don't want to go into Mantis, you want to go into Tarantula, then you would use 1-4 and you go into here. Alright, for the options out of here, I might have honestly just showed the options you're probably going to use. Alright, you have your 1 option, which is a low. I think it leaves you at like light advantage. You have your 3 option, and you have your, well, which is your go-to mid, and you have your, Tarantula down 1+2, and it puts you into the Mantis stance. And you have a 4 option, but honestly the 3 oops, wrong stance. You have a 4 option, but the 3 options are better here. So really, out of this stance, I don't know, just try and annoy the opponent with a 1 option, or try and transition into like Mantis with this. But in general, I don't really care for the Tarantula stance that much. I mean, honestly, the Mantis stance is the much better of the two. I mean, this move alone is just can be really annoying to the opponent. So yeah, but if you end up like finding any sort of like kind of success with Tarantula, then go for it. Alright, we're gonna take a look at Zafina's throw game right now. Alright, in general, I don't really think Zafina's throw game is particularly special or anything. Like, for instance, here's her the 1+3 throw, so the left side throw, and here's the right side throw, the 2+4 throw. Ends up switching sides. You may notice here it leaves her in Mantis stance, so yeah, you do get this stance transition to use your new favorite move, Mantis 3. And now for the other throws. So left side throw, we get 40 damage. Right side throw, also 40 damage, so nothing really special. And from behind, up too far. Boom! But still only 50 damage, so it's pretty standard throw damage. And for the 1+2, for the command throw, it's forward, 1+2. And it unfortunately doesn't really get any environmental damage or anything, so I know some command throws can get like wall damage or anything like that, but Zafina just gets pretty standard damage. So yeah, with regards to the throws, it's not really Zafina's forte. Still kind of cool though that you can get a Mantis transition out of one of them. Alright, gonna show Zafina's rage skills now. Just to show her rage art right now, it's down forward 3+4. Pretty cool though. It shows off, as you see, that new attribute that Zafina gained is that she has she got Azazel's arm. So she looks like a devil arm or something. Alright, as for her rage art, it's pretty standard. Does a 55 damage on normal hit, knocks the opponent away quite a bit. So yeah, pretty standard rage drive. And of course, you can connect it off a launcher if you so please. Although you end up getting pretty much the same damage. As for Zafina's rage drive, it's inputted with forward 2+3. I know it's a very weird input, and it looks like so. Alright, her rage drive pretty much serves a similar purpose as her forward 2. Her forward 2 is used to try and fish for a counter hit combo starter. As you see on normal hit, it doesn't start combos, and if you do get forward 2 blocked, then you'll need to go into forward 2-3 to be, I guess, quote-unquote safe at -1, although the opponent can still jab you. But the difference, as you can see now with the rage drive, is that you can get a follow-up. So basically the Rage Drive can start a combo on normal hit, and you're in a better position also if it gets blocked compared to forward. 2. So you see right there, you can get pretty solid damage off of a juggle if you end up connecting the Rage Drive on normal hit. The timing can be a little weird because there's like such a huge gap after the first hard hit. Then down forward one is a recommended filler after that. Alright, I'm gonna look at some go-to While Rising move with Zafina. Alright, out of While Rising 3 will be your best move. It's a 16 frame move that's plus 8 on block if you go into Scarecrow. If you hold back to go into exit or to forego the Scarecrow transition, you'll actually will be at -7 on block. So you'll be negative on block. So in general, just go into the Scarecrow stance. It's the main purpose. You have a pretty standard While Rising 4. So this is just like any other While Rising 4. It's your quick mid poke out of While Rising. And for the other options, they're pretty much launchers. So you have your While Rising 1, 2. Alright, you don't really have any like 15 frame launchers, but this move I think is 15 frames, so it's just 1, 2. And you could just go straight into 2, and you get a bigger launcher. Alright, I think I might have just showed you earlier a little bit that if this gets blocked and you confirm that it gets blocked, then go into Mantis to make yourself safer. Obviously you can't really follow up because how far away you are, but it's kind of neat that you have a way to make this safe. But yeah, this is gonna basically your either options 1, 2 or 2 will be your While Rising Punisher. So either your 15 frame or your 18 frame. And if you need something faster, then of course While Rising 4 I think is usually around like 11 or 12 for it. It's usually 11. I think Zafina's is like -9 on block or like something like that. So yeah, she has pretty solid While Rising options. Alright guys, that's it for now. Alright, I'll just let you know pretty much straight up that you can usually either forego transitions or exit out of transitions or avoid transitions by either, depending on what it is, by either holding back, like for instance to forego like a Scarecrow transition. Down back of course is your go to exit out of stances, and so you can enter into some stances of course by like pressing like down, or sometimes not pressing anything will go into the stance and down will like change it between like Mantis or Tarantula. Or I don't think I showed you it earlier that if you do 2, 1 down 3, then you'll just go straight into Mantis without doing the kick. So that's actually pretty cool right there. So you have a slight kind of I don't know, like mix-up opportunity, whatever you want to call it. Like you just like a little like kind of a change up on your opponent. Also, Zafina has a revenge attack, so a special armor move here called Revenge Hand. What this move does is if the opponent does any attack, such as like a mid strike or anything, and if they so like some sort of standing attack, like a mid or a high, like well not a low, since lows beat up power crush. As you see right there, it will kind of counter the opponent. It's a armor revenge attack, so it's not really a parry per se, so just like keep that in mind. Operates just like a power crush. Anyways, if you have any further questions, feel free to ask the question in a comment down below. And be sure to check out my other Tekken 7 guides. I have a few other characters that I've gone over, and look out for some more in the future. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips.
You win.
This is your fate.